Are we good? Do we look good? Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bearded Bonsai YouTube channel. This is our newest employee, Kalia, as you can see from her shirt. And today on Tree Talk, we're going to tell the story of Kalia's trees. One of my favorite things about trees and gardening is the stories they tell. And today I wanted to tell the story of Kalia's trees, which are these 6 trees you see in front of me here. Kalia is my daughter that was born this past October. And for my birthday, which is also in October, my wife had an awesome idea to give me these 6 trees to kind of commemorate that time in our lives and tell the story of our daughter. So you might be wondering, how could trees tell the story of your daughter being born? That's what I'm going to tell you. And I think it's a very cool thing. I love, like I said, the history and the story behind trees, not just how they were named, but anyone you talk to that appreciates gardening or trees usually has some kind of story to tell. So if you have your own story to tell, please put it in the comments below. I would love to hear it. I think it's such a cool thing. I think you're really going to like Kalia's story. And I'm really happy and excited to share it with you. One thing to note quickly before I get started, I'll go ahead and say all 6 of these trees came from one of our favorite mail order nurseries, which is MrMaple.com. As you can see, these are all 1 gallons, but they're very good sizes. Several of them have roots coming out of the bottom, so they're very healthy, good, vigorous trees. Usually, you know, I have nothing but good things to say about them. So if you get this idea, go ahead and head on over to MrMaple.com and see what they have. They have all different kinds. So with that said, let's get into Kalia's story. This first tree that you see here, this is an Acer palmatum, and the cultivar is Pink Princess. So the story behind this is our daughter coming home from the hospital actually wore a pink onesie, and we called her our Pink Princess. So it's very, very fitting, suits her perfectly. And later on, after the fact, I also found out that this was named after the person's daughter, who kind of had that same idea apparently, and called it Pink Princess after his daughter. So we're both in that girl dad club. That's a great club to be in. I'm really excited about it. But this tree, when these leaf out in the spring, it's a green variegated with pink, like a bright hot pink. I've never seen it in leaf, so I'm super excited for this one to leaf out. I love that it's a Pink Princess. So is my daughter, and I can't wait for her to grow up and tell her this story and share this with her. Now, this next one you see here, this is another Acer palmatum. The cultivar on this one is Baby Ghost. So the story behind my daughter and how she connects to this tree is when she was still a newborn, she would wear little sleepers that had kind of like fins that covered her hands so she couldn't scratch her face. And when she had it on, she looked like a little ghost, and we actually called her our Baby Ghost. So again, this was a must. Like, it was a no-brainer. We had to have a baby ghost for our little baby ghost. As far as the tree goes, this one will leaf out with a lot. Since it's in the Ghost series, it has that ghost-like reticulation where you can almost see all the different veins in the leaves. From the pictures I've seen, it has like a reddish, orangish pink tint when it leaves out. It looks beautiful. This, again, is another one that I've never seen in leaf in person. So really, really excited about this one. Moving down the table, you can see it's really good size on this. I'm going to kind of put these 2 together because they go together in our story here. This one is Acer, let me make sure I'm right. Yep. Acer Shirasawanum Sunny. And this is Acer Japonicum Rising Sun. So the way that these 2 tie into Kalia's story is that the day after she was born, I was sitting there in our room in the hospital, and it was early. I was holding her in my lap and just looking at this little girl thinking, wow, like I'm a dad now, I'm a daughter. It was just one of those moments, just kind of taking it all in. And outside of our room, there were several windows, and right outside, there was a large Japanese maple that the hospital had planted there. It was probably 20 years old. It was good size. And as the sun came up, that's where rising sun comes into this. It was shining through the tree and through the windows, and then into our room. And all the shadows from the leaves on the tree were just cast all over the room. And the wind was blowing. And so all the leaves were kind of fluttering and the shadows were just dancing over the whole room. And as I was holding her, it was also had that effect on her little face, just kind of gently dancing the light and the shadows. It was just an amazing moment that I will never forget. And now I have these two trees to remind me. So sunny is for the sun that day and how sunny it was that created the shadows. And rising sun, apart from the sun rising and making that moment happen, rising sun also has really large, almost tropical type of leaves. And my wife and I were married in Hawaii, actually in Maui. And my daughter's name, Kalia, is actually Hawaiian. And so the tropical part of this tree ties into that part of our story as well. So I just think it's a really cool thing, a really cool part of our history kind of as a family. And again, like as my daughter grows up, to be able to tell her this thing and show her, and year after year, go out to her trees and kind of tell her that story until she's a teenager and tired of hearing it. But hopefully, I think she'll always treasure that. She'll always like that down the line. And hopefully this will instill a love of nature and gardening and just at least an appreciation for these trees and things like that at a very early age. And that'll be something she can carry on and hopefully tell her kids one day. So that's the story of these two. The next one on the list here is Acer palmatum green twinkle. And this one is for my daughter's eyes because she's had a twinkle in her eyes since she was born. My wife and I both have green eyes, so odds are that's what our daughter will have as well. So green twinkle just really fits that little twinkle in her eye. This one, when it leaves out, has really teeny tiny bright green leaves, which is where the green twinkle comes from. So, and again, come to think of it, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trees you see here, I have never seen in leaf in person. So every one of these, I am so pumped for spring to get here. As I look out the window, there's like 3 inches of snow. But later on this week, it's supposed to be in the 50s and 60s. So spring is on the way. It's close. But I'm so pumped for it to get here to see all these. But back to it. Green twinkle is for that little twinkle that she has in her eye. Now, the last one on the table here, this is Acer palmatum Shana. And as you can see, just the size on this is just unreal for a 1 gallon. This one I have seen in leaf in person, and I'm so pumped for this to leaf out because it's such a bright red and such a pretty tree. And then in the summer, when the red kind of turns to green, and then you get that fresh, bright red on top of that green, it is just a beautiful tree. And the name Shana actually in Hebrew means beautiful. So that's how this tree got its name. And where my daughter comes into that is, of course, we're a little biased, but my wife and I think she is absolutely beautiful. So we have a tree here for her, which means beautiful. So these are Kalia's 6 trees. And that is the story of Kalia being brought into this world through these trees. Like I said, I love the history of trees. And if you talk to any gardener or anyone that appreciates it for very long about a specific tree, they'll usually have a story about it. And I just love the stories, and I think more of them need to be told. I think people enjoy hearing them. I know I do. I really hope you enjoyed this story. I'm very excited to share it with you. I'm very excited to see all these trees leaf out. And I think it's going to be such a cool thing to continue on with my daughter. And as these trees grow and change, my daughter will grow and change. So that story will stay intertwined with her. I just think that's such a cool thing. So I really appreciate you for sticking with me, watching this story. As always, every like, every comment you leave, I appreciate more than you'll ever know. So please subscribe. I want to do more segments like this that I call Tree Talk, where it's not so much instruction, it's just sharing. Again, as I said, if you have a tree story, leave it in the comments. And yeah, just thank you so much for watching. Come back and I'll see you next time.